Hello everyone, a warm welcome. This is Sage and you are watching the Executive Corner, Expert Talks by 𝐿𝐴LKINE TV. And this morning joining us is a very special guest, Miss Julia Newbould, the editor of Money Magazine. You may have heard of Money Magazine being Australia's longest running and most read personal finance magazine. So on our show, we bring you the industry leaders, successful business owners, all under the one roof to help you discover the insights of the stock markets. So today, very lucky to share some space with Ms. Julia Newbould, editor of Money Magazine. Welcome, Julia. It's a pleasure to meet you.
Thank you very much. Pleasure to meet you as well.
Thank you. Well, I'm sure the viewers are keen to hear from you, as I am. So let's get started. Money Magazine is Australia's longest running and most read personal finance magazine. What was your inspiration behind launching the brand, if you had something to do with it?
So the inspiration behind launching the brand was our founder, Paul Clitheroe, who was a financial advisor, found that there was an interest in the 90s to have a television show talking about money issues, and from the television show the magazine was spun off because suddenly we had compulsory superannuation, people were building their investments, they were buying property, and personal finance suddenly started to become something in the public interest space.
Fantastic. So it sounds like it developed sometime in the 90s if you talked about superannuation emerging?
Yeah, that's right. And people just suddenly started looking at their wealth. You know, things were becoming affordable and people were focusing on money. When I started in financial services, it was around 2000, and it was still early days for people to talk about money, but there was the superannuation idea that people started to have a lot of money that was outside their homes, and so they started to think about other investments.
Absolutely. I do remember the boom of that personal empowerment and personal growth in the early 2000s, absolutely. And developing security in your finances and financial freedom was a major part of that empowerment. So analysing what's best to spend money on could be a challenging task, talking about personal empowerment. How do you help your subscribers to compare and buy the best products?
So twice a year we have award issues. In July we have, this is the issue we're currently working on, we have the Consumer Finance Awards, and we look at the best banks and non-banks and customer-owned institutions, and we look at them and judge them on loans, credit cards, home loans, investments, business, and also insurance and margin lending. And by giving our readers the information, it empowers them to make better decisions perhaps on where the deals are. The research is based on quantitative measures, which helps our customers save money with the deals that they have with the various institutions. And our December-January issue is our bumper Best of the Best issue. And in that we look at a wider range of products that help our readers save money. So we'll cover home loans, car loans, bank accounts, superannuation, ETFs, brokers, insurance, and even phone plans. And we've done comparisons on when you can save thousands of dollars by switching from the worst funds to the best funds or the best providers.
Fantastic. And I love the way,
we look at it that there's only two ways of saving for the future, either earning more and spending less. And we're trying now to write more about jobs as well, so that people can have ideas of how they can earn more money and then have more to potentially save.
Such a great idea, because sometimes people just aren't aware of the jobs that are out there. And I love the way that your magazine makes this type of information accessible, because after a long day at work, the last thing you want to do for some people is pick up a book and do some research. Some people just want to relax. So what are the different subjects you cover in your magazine to help people achieve optimum financial freedom?
So the main areas that we cover on a regular basis are personal finance stories. We look at family money, issues that you might be having with, how the kids, whether they're on your health insurance plan, or how to get them to be good savers, or with relationships, should you care for elderly parents, what does that cost you? We look at superannuation, of course, we look at small business, we look at investments, and we look at shares. And there's a lot to cover in those areas. So we look at features to reflect the issues that our readers might be having. And we learn a lot through our Ask Paul area, where readers send in their own questions and Paul answers them in the magazine. And they also are very engaged, and we get letters to the editor. So we have an online presence. We have 2 newsletters which go out, one on Wednesday and one on Saturdays, and we do get a lot of engagement on social media from readers. So we've looked at some new issues this year, and one of them has been the FIRE community, which is the financially independent retire early community, and we've recently devoted a whole magazine to that cohort, and it's been really interesting. Like, even if people don't want to be in that cohort because it takes a lot of discipline and a lot of saving so that they can retire in their 30s, 40s and 50s, it's still a good voyeuristic story of how other people do live and how they do manage their money. And we've also had the sandwich generation, where we look at people who have kids that are still at home, and they're also looking after elderly parents, and what the sort of issues are that they might want to consider when they're making decisions about that.
Absolutely, that's so inspiring to read other people's stories and learn from that. And in your opinion, how significant is it to analyse one's expenditure? You've talked a little bit about spending more, earning less as a tactic to achieving financial freedom. How about
spending less, earning more?
Sorry?
Spending less and earning more.
Oh, sorry, I may have said it around the wrong way. In your opinion, how important is it for you for one to analyse expenditure in a view to strengthen the present and save for the future?
Yeah, it's extremely important to understand your financial position today to know how you can build into the future. And of course, different people use their money differently. And for myself, I know that I love spending. And my father once said to me, "You're always looking to spend money." And I never really understood what he meant until I started looking at my behaviour. And I love looking at catalogues, and I love shopping. And even when I go for walks at lunchtime to be healthy, I always end up going and looking at the shops. So I have to control that behaviour, because I'm looking at sales and I'm thinking, even if I don't need the things, who can I buy that for? And so now that I know that I have that behaviour, I can control it better. But also I can put things in place with my finances so that I don't give myself too much cash in my wallet or too much, access to money on my credit cards. And I make sure that I'm putting money aside into my super and salary sacrificing, and also putting money into an investment account so that what I can spend on a day-to-day basis is limited, because I know that is my weakness. And for other people, I think it's about spending money consciously on things that you really value and appreciate. So, it's important that we use money to enjoy today as well as build a future. But if you're spending money today without really benefiting, you are sacrificing your future for nothing.
Exactly, some really important points there. And I think there's some great apps that can help people now with budgeting a little bit more and offer that extra support. So according to you, when should an individual buy a new house? Is there a specific timeline that people should follow? And when should one invest in renovations?
It's a really difficult question to answer, because the answer's different for everyone. Obviously, a new house will incur stamp duty fees, and which a renovation wouldn't, but there is usually a limit to how much a renovation will add to the eventual sale price of the property. For some of us, our home is never really seen as an investment, but instead it's a home and it's for your comfort and pleasure. So money's not always the paramount decision. But I guess it's a good idea to think about the length of time that you intend to stay in the home, and whether an expensive renovation is just prolonging an eventual move. But the considerations are there. Will you recoup money that you spend on any property, or will you be worse off after this decision that you make, and can you live with that? If you're in the best location, you probably don't want to move, and the renovation might be what you need. But, you've got to really spec out what you think that the cost will be.
Exactly. Thank you so much for your insights. So, Julia, in today's world, one never knows how the prices are going to vary in the future, especially with houses. I mean, some saying it's going to go up, some saying this could be a bubble that's about to burst. In such unforeseen circumstances, financial awareness is a must for optimum benefit. So how does Money Magazine help people to hedge their portfolios against market fluctuations, please?
Well, I guess we like to keep our readers informed of any trends in the market and what the impacts of different events might be. For example, what will happen if the COVID vaccine doesn't work and travel doesn't resume in the short term? How will that impact your investments and the economy, and how will you get through that? And we also try to teach the simple lessons of saving for a rainy day. And once that used to mean just having cash ready to invest when the market went down. That's how a lot of people looked at it. But last year it also was such a shock to so many industries and jobs that it actually meant keeping cash that could keep you going if you lost your job. We talk about hedges, and we've looked at gold and Bitcoin and bonds, but we're constantly looking at different areas of the share market as well. And while ETFs are popular with our readers right now, it's important that they look themselves at the sectors and the shares and where they can make sure that they are properly and appropriately diversified.
Exactly. And again, it's in such an easy to access and fun to read manner, which I think is important to keep the larger amount of the populace informed. And to be honest, a lot of magazines are making the switch to digital, and COVID-19 has seen a massive redistribution of power across sectors and economies. In your opinion, how has Money Magazine been able to stay upright in the market during the downturn?
Well, interestingly, people were very focused on money during the downturn, and people did want to read more. So our reader figures really went up, whether it was digital or the print issue where people subscribed to the magazine, even when you couldn't go out and purchase it at a shop. But we've found that those numbers have stayed. So while, the panic has stopped with COVID, the readers are still more engaged with their finances, and the fact that you could take super out, they wanted to know all the rules at the time about, how much could you take out and who could take money out of their super. But now it's about, well, what do you do if you did? How do you build your super back up? What kind of position are you in? If you got out of the share market, when should you have got back in? What areas should you be looking at? So, we do have a digital presence and we're looking to expand that, but we're also, very happy with the magazine itself. And it's different readers prefer different things. Personally, I love a magazine. I love looking at the paper and I love turning the pages and, being able to save it for later. Perhaps it's a generational thing. Perhaps it's just from someone who's always worked in media.
Exactly. I do enjoy flicking those pages as well. Thanks so much for joining us today, Julie. I'm sure your valuable insights have been enjoyed by our viewers.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
And if you've just joined us, we have just had a delightful discussion with Ms. Julia Newbould, the editor of Money Magazine. And the full recorded interview will be available from the YouTube channel 𝐊𝐴𝐚 Media in the next couple of days. Thanks for your time, viewers, and please stay watching for our live market updates to follow soon. Sage signing off.